Welcome to the freewheeling cavalcade of circular motion, thus defined by the octagon table of double-wide mental introspection and dedicated utilitarian outward thinking in defense of zero content. Translation: we ain't got nothing. Oh, hey folks, dude here, coming out again, an iteration of Dude After Dark. Of course, you can tell that we now have improved sound equipment. I'll show it to you real quick on the, I now have these Logi, L-O-G-I, Logi. They tend to run a little too much bass for my taste, but they also tend to sound pretty good. Sound guy, stop. And they really don't sound like... Sound guy. Okay, I don't know why it's laser blast, but okay, anyway, so way, shape, or form, which we find ourselves, I have new and improved sound devices. What do you mean, ding? It new and improved sound devices, okay? They sound...
Wow! It's spicy!
It's spicy crash. Okay, sure, whatever. Anyway, way, shape, or form, we find ourselves, we've got way too many news stories, and I'm going to try to get into, the vast multitude therein. No promises. I have got...
Wow! It's spicy!
No, sound guy. No, I have a myriad of news stories, mostly concerning the political side of things.
I've fallen, and I can't get up.
Okay, it's going to be one of these kind of things, isn't it? All right, so anyway, if you haven't heard and you're completely absolutely news deficient, it's come out that Joe Kaka has decided he will not run for a second term and will be instituting the political ambitions therein of Kamala Harris.
Oh no!
Yeah, I know, we're talking extreme.
Oh no!
Yeah, extreme. Oh no. Anyway, so one being the diminutive therein of the other, it's really hard to say which one's the lesser of the two. Anyway, so which we find ourselves now, we are now facing the political ambitions of one professional politician compared to one serious also ran that wants to be a political, vanguard, as it were. I'm not going to get much more espousing the virtues of her other than say that, well, she's shooting for the highest seat. Anyway, so coming in from Facebook, it has come out to be that there is a very low opinion of the current resident of the White House going into the secondary resident of the White House, whichever side of the aisle that one's going to be. But the news story is that comes out is, of course, there was the assassination attempt on Donald Trump. Now, there was a couple of innocent victims. One guy saw the rounds incoming and literally jumped in the way of fire and protected his family members. And unfortunately, he passed. Well, usually what happens in a situation like that, you have the leader of the free world going, oh, stars and garters, I better make the good show on, and I better give a call to the widow. Well, Joe Kaka, also known as the current resident of the White House, tried to call Comparatori's widow, and she just flat out told him, no way in the world, not even going to speak to you. And from the Daily Caller, she said, I didn't talk to Biden. I didn't want to talk to him. My husband was a devout Republican, and he would not have wanted me to talk to him. I don't have any ill will towards Joe Biden. I'm not one of those people gets involved with politics. I support Trump. That's who I'm voting for, but I don't have any ill will towards Biden. He didn't do anything bad to my husband. A 20-year-old despicable kid did. But she didn't take the phone call. Speaking of something else firearms related, I don't know if you guys heard about this one. I might be rehashing a little bit, but Alec Baldwin will not be charged with a criminal charge and stick him in the clink. Uh, I really could just say he's seriously guilty of bad gun handling, but the person who handed him a loaded firearm with live ammunition, they are the one to blame. As a matter of fact, 3 people actually walked off that set. Excuse me, nose is itching. 3 people actually walked off that set, so it was unsafe conditions. They were not going to put themselves in a situation where potentially they might find themselves getting, well, you know, yeah. Well, I was going to say something else there, sound guy. Yeah, I was going to say they were trying to be really, really careful because they didn't want to receive a bad case of, or another situation they're in where somebody gives you a gun, you think it's safe, and
Don't.
yeah, you want to try to avoid the bad case of handing a live gun to somebody, you picking it up, and well, bad things happen. Okay. Yeah, you gotta be really careful when somebody else is handling the firearms. They hand it to you and go, "Oh yeah, it's safe." Yeah, you don't want to have a bad case of things really seriously going wrong, and you then have to deal with all of the attended yeah, you want to avoid the no does if at all possible. Safe gun handling is the only way to do it. I haven't heard about this one or not. This one is one I can actually just rattle off real fast. Coming in from Breitbart.com, far left web page Axios is now calling on Trump to apologize for getting shot. What color's the sky on the planet with these people? Really? Oh, well, some crazy person basically takes pot shots at you, and you should be apologizing for being the target end. Ugh. Disgusting. And I do have a bunch of other news stories, so stand by on that one. I have other stuff rattling in the brain pan. So I got more missives to go into concerning Trump exploits of that whole stupid thing. I forgot about this one or not, but supposedly in the document case against Donald Trump, Jack Smith is now rendered bye-bye because it's been rendered that his appointment was unconstitutional. Good stuff along that line. Don't know if you heard about this one. Outside the Republican convention, a nameless idiot wearing a ski mask was busted carrying an AK rifle. All you're going to say about that one is the stupids are coming out of the woodwork wearing a mask and an AK rifle. Dude, you're lucky that you just didn't get preliminarily just a bad case of
Around and find out.
yeah, a bad case of bleep around and find out. He would have gotten just completely oh, most assuredly would have been absolutely. He would have gotten a bad case of just problem solved. Scroll. This whole thing about the slope being too steep. Well, it's also come out that basically there's some fallout for this. Complete and total ineptitude, incompetency, call it what you will. People dropping the ball, and oh my stars and garters. Those guys have been absolutely giving that chick who ran the Secret Service, and I say in past tense because we all know she's gone now, in past tense, giving her the full Muppet treatment where they just went, we could just kind of Nah, we're just gonna, they've been giving her full Muppet treatment, arm all the way up to the elbow, square per boo boo, to say, you are that person who did the You did major so much in fact that, well, it's inexcusable. And all the kind of fancy stuff that you're trying to say to defend your position will not save your butt. A whole bunch of joke memes have been floating around now about like roof lines being too steep, or cows walking around on roofs, and it's really stupid for these guys to say, "Well, it was too steep to put people up there. I thought it was going to be a dangerous situation." These guys are walking around on the Capitol building and other places where they are steeply slanted roofs. Secret Service is not unafraid to walk up and down something with a tilt to it. So that whole thing about, well, the slope was too great. You are an utter incompetent, and not just lose your position, you need to go to jail for rank incompetency, because I'm really truly tired of these guys that screw something up humongously in the federal government, and they go, well, I've decided to resign. And they just go, okay, problem solved. Wash our hands clean. Pontius Pilate, you guys, she, he, them, whomever, has now been cleansed and absolved, and they can go on about their business. Wrong. You're still guilty of the initial reason why you had to bugger off in the first place, unceremoniously, with a foot stuck square up your fundament. Scrolly. The memes are unbelievably good. Scroll. Oh, I don't know if you heard about this one or not. This one coming in from Finance Yahoo, which is a website I really, seriously, very, very rarely utilize. Mostly because anybody can look at yahoo.com on their news page. It is laughably, and I do mean hilariously, unbelievably leaning so far to the left that if the world was flat, it literally would tilt the plane of the planet. They are unapologetically beyond Stalin leftards. But Yahoo Finance put in this news story, and obviously there's a reason why I always keep these things muted, because they have the autoplay videos, and it's just stupid. So anyway, yahoofinance.com. Ford is pivoting away from EV or electric vehicle plans to heavy-duty trucks in a Canadian facility. Thor's hammer. That is 180 out completely of the intended purpose of that factory setup. Totally. Excuse me one second, I need a swig. So what's going on there was they were following the game plan of the cram it down our throats. Everything's going to be electric within, 2035 or whatever it is. I think those plans are pretty much shot to hell at this point. Mostly because the reality of it, and the stark reality of it, is you're not going to get, 300 million plus vehicles switched over in 10 years to be completely EV. Not everybody's going to go, you know what? I'm so tired of these internal combustion engines. I want to have something that I can just plug into the wall anywhere and it'll recharge. Never mind the fact it takes 3 days to recharge the thing fully. I'm just going to use that instead. Where, normally I was so used to simply driving the vehicle to a gas station. 5 minutes later, I got a full tank, another 400 miles of range. People are not jumping on board the EV bandwagon, no matter how much the watermelons, and I do mean those guys who are green on the outside, red on the inside, eco weenie screaming memeites who say that everybody should be driving electric vehicles in 10 years because it's good for the planet. Never mind the fact that we have children pulling out the rare earth minerals under slave labor. We have all kinds of toxic areas now being created because you have to take that stuff, condense that stuff, make that stuff worthy and usable in electric vehicle batteries. Never mind the fact that EV batteries are not exactly easy to recycle. Never mind the fact that when it comes time to change out a dead battery, it's like $15,000 in some instances, $8,000 in others. I can get a junkyard motor for pretty much all my cars for a few $1,000s. Will it be a brand new engine? No, but it'll get me down the road, and you can do a simply slot in from the previous to the current, and it'll drive. A half-use battery is not a full battery. A half-use engine, it'll go. It'll go, no problem. Simply keep up on the oil changes and treat it nice, and it'll go. So anyway, Ford is now switching off from a major institution here, where they said they had a capacity for 100,000 F-Series Super Duty trucks, or the big mega pickup trucks, at the facility, including the ability to use what the company has called future multi-energy technology. That sounds like hybrids to me. So, quote, Super Duty is a vital tool for business and people around the world, and even our Kentucky truck plant and Ohio assembly plant running flat out, we can't meet the demand. What does that tell you about the EV sales? They were dead flat. And even Ford admitted in their EV instances, they were losing $100,000 per vehicle. So, why do you think that their normal vehicles have this massive little stipend stuck on top? Because they're trying to make up the difference from losing their ass trying to institute these stupid green policies shoved down their throats by the EPA, and other nameless agencies. Yeah, there's like 3 or 4 agencies that are playing these games on all the car manufacturers, and these guys are going, well, we don't want to get drummed out of business by the federal government, so unfortunately, we got to play ball. So Ford and April already delayed the launch of a planned 3-row electric SUV at the Oakville assembly plant from 2025 to 2027, citing slower than expected growth in EV demand. Okay, nobody wants a Ford Excursion that you plug into the wall, which would be a 3-row Super Duty. Okay, I've driven the Excursion. It's a bus. Okay, it really is a bus. Just give me 1 second here. I normally drive a 3-row vehicle, and it ain't nearly that big, okay? It doesn't need to be 22 feet long or whatever the Excursion is. I mean, the thing is, it's not a small vehicle. It's built on the F-250 chassis, and really, it's kind of heavy duty, but really, truly, it's actually kind of a little too heavy for what it was. And there's a reason why they only made them for some years, and they stopped making them in the future, mostly because they just can't make gas mileage. I think at its best, the thing gets like maybe 13 to 15 miles in a gallon, maybe. And that's like downhill with a tailwind, and like, the diesel running as good as it possibly can. Most of them came with 8 cylinders and 10 cylinders. So that would be the 5.4 liter or the 6.8 liter, I think it was 6.8 or 6.3 liter, whatever it was, the V10s. So basically, it was the 4.6 liter engine. So the Mustang, the Mustang 4.6 or the truck 4.6 with 2 more cylinders added on to make it a V10. So it went from 4.6, I think it was 6.3 or 6.8, whatever. It was a heck of a good engine. I've driven Super Duty vehicles with the V10s, and I've driven E350 extended vans with the V10s. It wasn't a bad power plant. It actually pulled really, really well. It drove nice for its size. But would it make actual gas mileage? No. So growth in the EV global demand has slowed, causing market leaders like Tesla and BYD, which is a Chinese company, to cut prices and stimulate sales, and legacy automakers like Ford and General Motors to pull back on many of their lofty battery-powered goals. Translation, they looked at the paperwork and were like, oh, God, no, Ford lost $4.7 billion in its EV business in 2023 and has projected to lose up to $5.5 billion this year. It said in February the next generation of EVs would be launched, quote, only when they can be profitable. Okay, well, that's just common freaking sense. Why are you going to make a product that, well, is crammed down your throat by the federal government, nobody really wants, and is hugely detrimental to the environment in its manufacture? Electric vehicles are not good for the planet. I mean, if you go with a very simple expenditure they're in of just simply the power that it takes to simply transport all the needed items. Okay, let's just say you dig up the stuff that makes the batteries, you transport it on a big ore carrier to go from place to place. Okay, that's one trip where it's burned a lot of petrochemicals just moving stuff. It's gotten to the new location. They make the ore into the products that needs to be made into the battery. That stuff then gets transported on the boat somewhere else. They then make the batteries. The batteries then get transported on boat somewhere else. The cars are being built somewhere else. The batteries and all the components come to it from all over the planet, which is not too dissimilar from a gas-powered vehicle, except for one major difference. When it comes time to make the gas-powered vehicle, you're basically making aluminum parts, you're making steel parts. Both of those are recyclable items. Also, when it comes time to put the thing together, it's known good technology. The EVs are literally so overcomplicated in some instances that they physically just don't work right. And there's a technology involved there that is new and really on a process of being product proven. It's not there yet. And like I've always said, and you can ask anybody who's ever talked to me about EVs, I have no problem with EVs. The gas tank sucks. That's it. If it had the range and it had, better battery technology that was actually better for the planet and was utilizing something other than rare earth elements, I could see it as something being feasible. As of right now, electric vehicles are at least 20 years away from being a viable alternative to an internal combustion engine. And I am not going to jump on that boat anytime soon until I know for a fact it does the three major things very, very well. Does it run reliably? Does it recharge quickly? And will it operate safely in all parameters, temperatures, and conditions they're in? Because if you're in an EV in cold temperatures, the battery's doing two jobs. One, it's propelling the vehicle. Two, it's trying to keep itself from freezing. So in the process of trying to keep itself warm and in that happy range of operation, it's using its own power. In hot conditions, it's using its own power to try to stay cold. If you're driving around an EV in the summertime, it's still running the air conditioner. Not for you. It's trying to keep the battery from overheating. So that's technology that has to rely on secondary technology just to make sure it doesn't go kaplooey. It's not there yet. If you have an operational parameter of this and it's operating in a world with temperature parameters of this, it ain't there yet. So the company expects to invest $3 billion to expand Super Duty production, including $2.3 billion to install assembly and integrated stamping operations in the Oakville assembly complex. The expansion will initially secure 1,800 jobs in Oakville, Ford said, and the result will be the addition of 220 jobs at the engine and component plants after that. So, 2,200 new jobs. Well, I thought everybody was making so much cake off these EVs and didn't have to worry about manpower. Ugh. Electric vehicles are not ready for prime time. I don't care what they say. I'm not going to get way too much into Joe Caca because it's just way too easy. It's just there's way too many of them, and it's getting old. As of right now, we're seeing you need 270 votes to win the electoral campaign, and right now, Caca was showing 225, Trump was showing 272. That's right now, okay? A lot of stuff can happen. We're not there yet. And, there's like the old saying in politics, 24 hours makes a world of difference. A lot of stuff can happen. We're not there yet. And we don't even know if Trump is actually physically going to run. We don't know if Kamala is actually physically going to run. A lot of stuff can happen in the interims. We ain't there yet. Scroll. I don't know if you guys heard about this one, but this one crushed about 25% of my workload doing Uber. Why? Because, CrowdStrike and their infinite wisdom decided we're going to give everybody an upgrade. And what did it do? It crushed all the major airlines. So the widespread IT outages reported across the globe is coming in truthpress.com. Major U.S. airlines ground all flights. 9/11 emergency systems are also affected. Oops. So the biggest IT outage ever occurred by experts, major banks, media, airports, and airlines affected by the major IT outage. Rail service disrupted in parts of the U.S. and U.K. Payment systems impacted different parts of the world, including Australia and the U.K. Now, my bank was being a little weird about that one, too, trying to do like some online checking and stuff. And so I literally went to the ATM and I tried to do a deposit. I was not, too far away from my home, but I was probably about 35, almost 40 miles away from my house, neighboring town, there all the time, nothing crazy. So I tried to do a deposit and the ATM was just like glitching. And I do mean like glitching. It's like, oh no, oh crap. At that point, I'm looking down at the keyboard going, cancel, cancel, cancel. Give me back my stuff. Give me back my check. I'm trying to deposit. Give me back my card. And eventually it relented and was like, okay, here's your stuff back. And then I talked to the guy that was literally behind me, and I was like, yeah, man, it's being weird. He goes, I know. I was just at a gas station and it wouldn't let me use my card. And the bank that we were using is a regional, fairly large bank. I mean, it's one of those ones that if you punch it up, it'll obviously pop up on Google. It's not like a small federal, credit union or something that nobody really even knows about. It's like small township thing. This is actually a big bank. So I went to the location near to my house, and that one allowed me to make the deposit. But also, that was like later, not like early morning. It was actually later in the day, and it was kind of very strange. So I knew firsthand, the alarm bells are going off in my head, going, something's really sketchier with all the technology. Try again later, and don't try it out here in the middle of Cowtown, USA. Be somewhere closer to Metropolitan. So that was my personal experience with it. So supposedly the Microsoft systems have been reporting blue screens of death, faulty update from cybersecurity from CrowdStrike, and which is widely used by Microsoft systems, according to The Verge. It was bad juju, folks. And the thing is, it was probably one of those, hey, this is a security upgrade to keep, upgrade to keep, all the bad guys from getting in and doing all the nasty stuff. There's a really easy way to keep the bad guys from going and doing all the nasty stuff. You have literally something as simple as this, a thumb drive. Every employee has a thumb drive. Before you can log into your system, bloop, you plug it in to an outside source. Before you even get into the inside source, you plug it in. That system checks, and it's not connected to anything on the internet. It is a internal only intranet, not internet, intranet. It plugs into that. What happens then is it goes, all right, I'm interrogatoring with you. Yes, you're employee so and so and so and so. I know you're safe. Okay, confirm, and it pops a screen up to the security guy. Confirm this is the person. And that guy goes, yep, that's him. Boop. And then, of course, then the computer goes, okay, well, confirming that's him. Can you confirm that he's not under duress? Boop. Yes, he's fine. Okay, I'm going to give him this one-time, one-use code for today only. Boop. Okay, you may now remove the thumb drive. Dude unplugs the thumb drive, brings it into the system, and for him to log into the system, he may use this for only one day with the code generated. After his end of work day, he comes out and walks up to that thing, plugs into it yet again, click. Okay, confirming end of work day. You no longer need this code. Beep. Unplug, go home, goodbye. If they did that, as opposed to these guys following these specious mail links that come in their emails to log into their system and go, oh, oops, I just gave away everything. That would be 95% of the technology then locked out of the bad guys from, whatever Stan or whatever Ville, whatever, ism or whatever area which they think hacking into things and taking your money is just spiffy. It would kill a lot of that stuff off. Where they have to literally log in, get a one-time use code to get into the system. The system only allows that one use code one day. After that one day, it's unplugged. They then clean out that thumb drive, confirming that code was used for that one day. Now, the thing about it is, being on the intranet, if there's ever an issue with that guy using that system, they then go, okay, how did they get in? And they can backtrack to that guy. That's how you fixed it. That's how you fix it very, very simply, is you need a key, literally a key to get into the kingdom. Scrolly. This one is kind of interesting, but supposedly, I'm not even going to name this butt puke that took the crap shot at Trump. But I'm not going to name this butt puke. But supposedly, he had 2 encrypted cell phones and 3 offshore encrypted accounts. There's way more to this story, folks, than we're ever going to find out in the public venue to go, oh, okay, well, why did this guy have XYZ and all this happy other horse stuff? And why was he able to do these things? There's a bunch more to this story than we're ever going to find out about butt puke who crapped off the shots. Scrolly. Yeah, obviously that's going okay. This I probably should just erase this one, but it's talking about when is Joe Kaka going to leave? Well, yeah. Speaking of people leaving, not to pick up and pick on dead people, but Sheila Jackson Lee has passed, and of that side of the aisle, I only have to say one thing. Usually things like this happen in threes, so Nancy Pelosi and Chuck U. Schumer, if you guys want to man up next, I'd be really appreciative. Excuse me one sec. Yeah, if you guys want to make it the 3 on, golf clap. Golf clap. Scroll. There has been a bunch, and I do mean a bunch of those people getting on Twitter and saying stupid, obnoxious, oh, well, he didn't have an event where potentially, it was fatal concerning Trump's attempt on him. And the leftards are coming out of the woodwork and saying all kinds of disgusting, obnoxious stuff. And it's come out to being that, well, if you remember how many times I've told you guys this, never, ever put anything up on the internet that you wouldn't actually say to somebody where somebody else might hear, because there is no delete button on the internet. And also, it has gotten very, very easy to find people who say and do these things. So, like this one chick, and I'm not going to name her name, but she got found out, and she got really she got the dirty end of the stick. So she basically said, oh, he didn't die. At least one supporter did. I'll take what I can get. My heart goes out to the family of the shooter, knowing he died doing what needed to be done. Hopefully someone will accomplish the task before we vote. Yeah. Needless to say, they found her out, and she is getting more than a little bit of whoop ass, and deservedly so. So when these guys get this kind of treatment, they get really what they should be getting, because some of that stuff is absolutely disgusting and never ever should be said in public. More coffin nails going into the EV type of stuff. So 46% of EV buyers want a gas-powered car next, and they want out of the electric boondoggle Lie-mobile. So coming in on the GM side of things, this is from autonews.com. GM CEO Barra is backing away from the 1 million EV production goal. That's very, very interesting. So they were thinking they're going to be cranking these things out like hotcakes, and everybody's going to be jumping on them, and it's going to be the best thing ever. And oh yeah, everybody's going to love to have one. Yeah. So coming in from automotivenews.com. Hang on a second here. I got a weird thing popping up. I hate when it does that. You're linking something off of Facebook, and they go, "Wow, yeah, you got to ride our little sales thing here." So GM originally set the goal of 1 million vehicles to be sold per year. That's really, really ambitious. In place for 1 million EVs, but said it could only sell that many if the market materializes. Oh, we're going to try to sell something, but nobody really, really wants it. So GM Motors CEO Mary Barra walked back expectations for her company's electric vehicle program. Latest move by such legacy automakers as the momentum slows plus. Oh, man. Geez. So the momentum is slowing. Yeah, well, I think pretty much the entire buying public that was going to jump on the EV bandwagon, you got them, okay? That's pretty much it. You got them. They now have bought into that, whatever party group of I like to have a car I can plug in somewhere as opposed to running it on dino juice. I think pretty much you have hit that threshold of that. That's about it. I'm not gonna get many more takers. No matter how you color it, no matter how you dress it up, no matter what you do, yeah, it's not gonna get much better. Scrolly. This one getting really, really interesting. Truthpress.com. And this is one I never really would have counted on, but this one's come out of the woodwork. This one's kind of very interesting, mind you. So, truthpress.com. Barack Hussein Obama does not endorse Kamala Harris, says Dems will pick and quote, outstanding nominee, end quote. So what he just said that she was Hawk 2, not worthy. Yeah. So I really love when they do this too. It's like the picture they have up of him is probably him like about 10, 12 years ago, where he's still kind of looking semi-spiffy, because now he's looking pretty haggard. And he does not look like the same guy. He's like all gray and he's all cratered out, and he doesn't look like what he did when he went into office. That's literally what it looks like. It looks like when the pictures were like he literally went first into office the first term. He's all just barely gray at the temples, and facial features still look not too particularly bad. So Obama, 62, is joined by former House Speaker Nancy Pelosi, and not immediately back in the 59-year-old vice president. Following reports last week, she favored, quote unquote, an open process to replace Biden. Quote, we will be navigating uncharted waters in the days ahead, Obama said, but I have extraordinary confidence in leaders of our party will be able to create a process from which an outstanding nominee emerges. I believe that Joe Biden's vision of a generous, prosperous, and united America that provides opportunity for everyone will be on full display at the Democratic Convention in August. And I expect that every single one of us will be prepared to carry that message of hope and progress forward into November and beyond. And I love the way they have to do this. They have to add this disingenuous little thing on there. America's first black president added, for now, Michelle and I will just want to express our love and gratitude to Joe and Jill for leading us so aptly and courageously during these perilous times, and that for the commitment for the ideals and freedom and equality that this nation was founded on. Okay, excuse me a second. I just got fuzz or something on my nose. It's driving me nuts. Obama remains one of the most respected leaders among Democrats, and his lack of endorsement of Harris can damage her candidacy and implicitly encourage new candidates to emerge. Okay, well, if they basically have a convention and they set the rules, which is kind of how it really works, because the thing about it is people who really don't understand is political parties are actually private institutions. They are not governmental institutions. They are private institutions. Why do you think they call them the old boys clubs? Because they really, truly are. So if they want to switch things up and they want to enact a new way of election process, and they say, well, this is going to be an area of very few, chicks like her, they can simply just say that. And they'll do that behind the scenes, and they'll do it so surreptitiously that it'll look like they're actually trying to do something, but they're really kind of playing the old kind of games and chicanery that all political parties are known for. There's a reason why I say I'm a dispossessed libertarian, is because the LP also has its moments of, why are you doing it that way? That's really chucking stupid. Don't do it like that. And they do it anyway. My biggest argument with any of those guys, and they basically hit the high road and they try to speak all, mindfully and, stridently, and, how intelligently they can express the fact that they really truly don't want to win. And how do they don't want to win in the LP? Well, the Libertarian Party always goes, we're simply just going to say, well, here's our rocket and we're already landed on the moon. Dude, you're still on planet Earth. Nope. We're on the moon already. We're making footprints and we're showing you the way that the moon works. How about if you maybe even walk out there and have the guy light the rocket and send it off the launch pad? No. We're already there. We're known for, we're all this, that, and the other thing. Okay, that's the major problem I've always had with the Libertarian Party. And I've expressed that with my friends, and my friends have had really good consensus on that one. Is LP always says, we're going to be trying for presidency. Why don't you guys start out by trying like for dog catcher? Why don't you try like, county commissioner? Why don't you try like attorney general? Why don't you try like governorships? Why don't you work your way up to the level of becoming president? This isn't Argentina where the place is so destitute where they're going, you know what? We're willing to try anything once. We're not quite there yet. But, Argentina is doing some amazing stuff because they are keeping libertarian methods and means. All good stuff. I have no complaints whatsoever on the way that guy's doing things. It looks like he's pulling the country out of the ditches in which it found itself. Awesome work. However, the two-party system of which we currently have is everybody. I've always heard this classic one. Well, I'm choosing the lesser of two evils. Dude, if you're choosing the lesser of two evils, it's still evil. It's not a good solution. It's not something that's altruistic and making things better for your every man. You're simply saying, well, this one hurts the least to get it stuck in the old fundament. Yeah, okay. If you're doing something in such a way that it's only slightly less painful than the other method, it's not a good method. Both the major parties really have major issues. And you know what? When it comes right down to it, there's stuff that Trump has done that I was not crazy about. But the thing about it is, when it comes right down to it, I literally can look at the way the Democrats do and say things, and I can look at the list, and I can go, from A to Z, and I can go, I would do every single one of these things completely opposite in the means, method, and operation therein of the way that the Democrat Party does, says, and accomplishes things. Because it's not an everyman system. It is still very much a socialistic, very much authoritarian-based system where truly the guys on the top are the ones who benefit the most. It is not set up for the everyman. I mean, you can look at the black community right off the bat. Those guys have backed him since, Christ was cadet. And what have they gotten for it? They've gotten hosed. Just enough of a little, nugget to further their daily life, and they think that they're getting something good out of it. But when it comes right down to it, if they were given the freedom to do things on their own, they would do so much better. As opposed to saying, well, here's your EBT card. Oh, we'll pay your rent. Just crank out 3 more kids. Or here's your this, that, and the other thing. As long as it's not a nuclear family. Because if the guy is there, we can't help you. That is social engineering at its worst. And anybody in the black community that sides with the Democrats right now, you are a fool because you're selling yourself short for what could possibly be happening. Scrolly. This one truly did crack me up. And it's a picture of Hillary Rotten Clinton floated as quote unquote the mightiest of all, end quote, Biden replacements. Yipes. Truthpress.com. Social media users were surprised by a new column from The Hill floating former Democrat presidential candidate Hillary Clinton as a replacement for President Biden's 2024 candidacy. The outlet's opinion contributor Pablo Ahana authored a piece on Saturday titled, quote, "Ready for round 2? Why we need Hillary more than ever." Wow. It argued that the former U.S. Secretary of State already lost the presidency to former President Trump in 2016, is the most suitable person to replace Biden as it calls for him to suspend his re-election camp grow. The piece turned heads on social media with people like senior Trump advisor Jason Miller theorizing that there must be some weight behind this claim. She's running, he declared. In the column, Ohana wrote, "The strongest argument against replacing President Joe Biden as the 2024 Democrat nominee is the notion that no suitable successor exists. But there is, and not just a good one, but one of the most qualified people ever to run for the office, Hillary Rodham Clinton." Dude, I don't know what you're smoking, but it's got to be some really top-notch stuff. He even asserted that Clinton is, quote, perhaps the mightiest of all alternatives to Biden, arguing that she is younger than both Biden and Trump and has an unparalleled resume and an unmatched depth of experience and is a strong advocate for children's rights and health care. Wow. The author even went so far to say that there are millions of voters who regret not voting for her in 2016 and want a do-over. Quote, these swing back voters are crucial to winning. Clinton could just turn back past regrets into proactive support by being a powerful reminder of the stakes of straying in 2024. Ohana concluded his piece declaring the Democrats have a seasoned, savvy, and adaptable candidate in Hillary Clinton. Without the burden of incumbency, she can run on a platform of stability, restoration, and progress. With the credibility of her lifetime in public service and proven leadership, in her candidacy, we might find her best chance to retain the White House and transcend the gladiatorial spectacle of politics. The piece got some attention on X, and his post Miller added, these opinions don't happen organically. Crooked is on the move. Man. Cannot do that one justice. Hang on a second, Patriot. I gotta do something here real fast. Patriot Fever. Can we have Biden back if the other option is Hillary? Oh, that's funny. Coming in from classic one here, and this one, I got this one, sound guy. This one is going to be one of those ones that really kind of cracks me up. But if you're going to do it right, you have to do Operation Chaos 2.0. That's right. Operation Chaos 2.0. You go to the dumpsters and you find the Biden-Harris yard signs. Then you take the signs and you put them up in front of those people's Democrat houses who have the Kamala signs. You take down the Kamala sign and you put up the Biden sign. I don't know where somebody posted up that picture of all the Biden signs in the dumpster, but I swiped that one and said, we need Operation Chaos 2.0. Yeah, we need Operation Chaos 2.0. Scroll. This one I found very, very interesting. Truthpress.com, they say it's been 5 days now, probably almost 6 days, since Joe Kaka has not been seen or heard from since the Democrats have forced him out of the White House race. Now, there is those people now going on with conjecture going, oh, well, he's now gone. It wasn't COVID. It was something else. Something else got him, blah, blah, blah. There was some other means and methodology and mechanisms therein that they did him dirty, and he's now pushing up daisies. I don't know where this stuff came from and who started it off, but if he was gone, word would have gotten out, okay? There's no way in the world that you basically knock off somebody in the White House and just say, well, he's convalescing. He's having some quality time staying on the beach and taking long walks and reflection. And no. There's been some interesting information coming out, and I really can't do it justice. There's been no fly zones, no takeoff times, secondary exclusionary areas in Delaware that go very, very close around the area where Joe Kaka would be in residence. So that information is public knowledge. When you make an area a no-fly zone or you make it a discretionary no-flight area, that stuff gets out there because the politicians can't stop the FAA from making that public. It's about the same thing as when NASA has something happen. They got to let people know because they're a public organization. Same thing with the FAA. When the FAA posts up something, you got to know these things if you're flying around. You can't just go flying into someplace willy-nilly, go into a no-flight area. You just cannot do these things. Now, I can tell you for a fact, I literally have flown over Kennedy Space Center. I've literally flown over that NASA area. Now, the thing about it is we are flying around in some, 150, 160 mile an hour Cessna at max. Most of the time we're farting along about 80, 90 miles an hour. Okay. You're trying to get gas mileage, maybe $1. So we're flying around. And if you look at the tablet that my friend was using as the, air quotes, glass cockpit, or translation, the screen that you need to look at for where you are tracking, other planes are tracking, and on the ground, those areas where you have, was it, I think they said like NFAs, no flight area. And literally, you looked at NASA where we were, and there was like circles, and there was like big circles, and they said, you do not depart, you do not enter, you don't go near these NFAs. If you go into that, you're in trouble. And you're not in just a little bit of trouble, you're in major trouble. They read what you're quote unquote squawking or transponder code that you're putting out on the radar system, and they go, as soon as you touch down, there's going to be some cops waiting for you, and you're going to get a nice little ride out to someplace, and they're going to be interviewing you, and potentially you're going to get some federal charges on you because you went into a don't fly zone. So as we were flying around, I mean, I'm looking at the screen, I'm looking at the circles. I was like, those are no flies, right? He goes, absolutely, we cannot go in that area. And if you look at this secondary area here, this is like the buffer area where you don't get too close to. There's like a buffer area, and then there's the absolute, don't even think of going in there, buddy. Unless you got clearance, you don't go there. And literally what it is these areas that are set aside as obviously security zones or secondary flight areas or potentially danger areas. They might be setting up a rocket or something, and something goes wrong and the rocket explodes. They know that there's an exclusion zone of X distance where, potentially parts only are going to fly that far, or the explosion only will go and encompass an area of about that big. So if you're talking this area versus the exclusionary zone of this, you have a safety factor of half again as much. You might get rumbled around a little bit, but you're not going to get like, basically shot out of the air with some piece of high velocity, whatever component flying at you at some ungodly speed. So literally that's the way it works with those areas. So there is now information out there that there is no flying, exclusionary, no takeoff areas in areas where they are comprising, and this is unusual stuff for a president that's just, vacationing. Normally they don't do stuff like this. This is very, very, very unusual. And the scuttlebutt, read like the rumors. The scuttlebutt has been, they want to have ability to truck him off someplace if they need to, like in immediacy. Well, if it comes right down to it, and it's an emergency treatment situation, they're going to treat him in Delaware. They're not going to truck him all the way down to, Walter Reed and go, okay, well, there's so much better medical care in Walter Reed. If you're talking terminal emergency care, you triage and you do it wherever you are, because you have the golden hour of which to get that person stabilized, save their butt, and, oh yeah, of course, not let them be, dirt napping within the very short time span of which you have to save them in. So they're now going on about this one. They haven't seen him. And supposedly Joe Kaka has recovered fully from, the COVID-19. He was taking Paxlovid, and, he's now on his 6th dose, and his pulse, blood pressure, respiratory rate, and temperature remain completely normal. Oxygen saturation continues to be excellent on room air. His lungs remain clear. Supposedly he had KP.2.3 variant, which accounts for 33.3% of all new infections in the United States. And he'll continue to tolerate treatment well, and will continue to take Paxlovid as planned. He continues to perform all presidential duties. Okay, if he's just got like, cold symptoms or like a flu symptom, he's still the president, okay? He's not like, laid back and unable to like do stuff. But there is that conjecture of how much is he there anyway. Yeah, that's kind of the interesting component. This one is getting hilarious. Breitbart.com. Chaos is now ensuing among Democrats as the DNC chair has failed to delineate plans for who's doing what and who's picking whom in the in the who are we going to run for president thing. It's getting fun, folks. So professional Hollywood dumbasses are now aligning behind Vice President Slurp. Yeah, so the Hollywood celebrities are now paying tribute to Biden and rallying behind Kamala. Quote, we now have our marching orders. And all the people that they're showing this picture are pretty much Hollywood dinosaurs. Bob De Niro, who's this other chick? I forgot her name. And it's basically Hollywood dinosaurs. Never ever doing anything other than professional complaining and pretending to be somebody else. Just this one I have is very, very kind of interesting. Supposedly, going into that previous one, that Biden hasn't been seen, and this is one I posted up on Facebook, and it said, I said actually, I have a dirty conspiracy theory about Joe Biden. He dies soon and gets honored with his time in the rotunda, so he never looks bad afterwards. He was a president who passed in office, was in repose, and is now buried in Arlington. That would be very, very interesting. However, I would tend to think that, off hours, maybe somebody might be coming by and watering his grave with something other than water. That's just me. Scrolly. I don't know if you guys heard about this one or not. This one is kind of funny, but there's been a situation on Uber where they've been trying to make us adopt and utilize EVs. And the car rental agency that actually is the agency that we would comprise to use for that service is Hertz. So right now they are trying to make us pick up EVs to run Uber with. I could not do this justice, folks. However, the funny thing is, I had this pop-up notice on my smartphone, and it said, Uber driver, last chance. Rent an EV and get the second week free. Just pay taxes and fees. Terms apply. So what can we take from this? I think most clearly you can state that there's not enough Uber drivers running electric vehicles, and they're preferring to stick with something conventional simply because, well, it probably just tends to work just a little bit better. So, or it just tends to work, more traditionally what they're used to. There's other things that come out to be too. I mean, the other thing people don't realize is with Uber, if you're running an EV and it knows you're running an EV, it'll go, okay, instead of getting the nice run that takes you somewhere way too far and out of your range, it'll only give you rides that are within your vehicle's range remaining. So as the battery is going, it's going and calling home to let Uber know, I've only got X amount of power. I've only got X amount of power. I've only got this little bit of power left. And then Uber is going to go, well, that's nice. Here's a charging station that's only been that far away, and it's going to take you an hour to recharge up to a certain point where you're usable again. Folks, it doesn't do that with an internal combustion engine vehicle. They don't know how much gas I got on board my car. Frankly, the interconnection between my car and my smartphone for Uber is merely a power plug to keep my phone charged. That's it. The rest of the interconnection between my phone and Uber is all using 4G, 5G system and, GPS, and that's it. That's the only interconnection that they have. They really, truly don't know what I'm up to in any way, shape, or form, and they don't know what my range anxiety is going to be on for how much of my shift I have left. But in this instance, they do. Yeah. As if you guys already didn't know, the Secret Service director stepped down after the assassination attempt on ex-President Trump at the rally. She needs to go to court, folks. She needs to go to court. This one I find extremely, extremely interesting. And I didn't catch the guy's name, so I'm going to need to punch this up real fast. But truthpress.com, there was a GOP representative who recreated the Trump shootings and made a horrific discovery. Check this. Truthpress.com. So House Oversight and Accountability Committee held an hearing of disaster security failure. And so Republican Texas Representative Pat Fallon went after Cheadle. So here's the thing. Dude replicated shooting that situation. Literally replicated shooting that situation. He has an AR-15, so he got an AR-15 and replicated the distance and was shooting at a person-stop target. So the situation is he was doing that and he was shooting at that person-style target. He replicated the shots almost exactly. And he said, you know what's really scary? That guy's a better shot than I am. And the one miss that I had, the very only miss that he had from striking where he was trying to aim and strike, was in the target's ear. So that's kind of daunting right there. So basically, set up on a roof, distance target, other conditions, and the congressman took 16 shots and at the target placed approximately where Trump was in relation to the shooter. Quote, you know what the result was? 15 out of 16 KIL shots. And the one I missed would have hit the president's ear. That's a 94% success rate, and the shooter was a better shot than me. It's a miracle that President Trump wasn't KIL'd. So basically, this guy replicated it exactly, perfectly. Kind of one of these knowing what you're going to get type of things. So supposedly there is an address that Netanyahu is going to do to Congress. So he's going to be doing his speechifying thing. And who's the person that's not going to be attending that? Well, it's going to be Vice President Slurp Slurp. She's decided she doesn't need to sit on this. It's not that important. You know, he can pound sand and, you know, whiz up a rope. So President Kaka is indisposed, doing whatever. Vice President Kamala decided and declined to attend the Netanyahu address to Congress. Why? This is really all you need to know about her and her stance on Israel. I'm not going to get any more into her if I can avoid it. But supposedly she raised a lot of cash in 24 hours and making a big deal about her raising $50 million. I think what it is right now is, of course, all those on the other side are just going, they're pulling out their wallets and they're throwing as much at her as they possibly can because TDS is coming into play and Trump derangement syndrome is an affectation of the other side of the aisle hugely. Let's see. Scrolly. This one, I cannot do this one justice. So I'm going to try to get into this one a little bit. But this is getting absolutely amazing. Between Bruins and the other amazing Supreme Court decisions on the Second Amendment, this is getting absolutely, completely badass. From the Washington Examiner, the U.S. Appeals Court for the 8th Circuit Court of 3 judges ruled 3-0 in favor of the Minnesota Gun Owners Caucus and other pro-gun groups. They found that the law, the Minnesota Citizens Personal Protection Act of 2003, barring 18 to 20-year-olds from obtaining their permits, violated the 2nd and 14th Amendments. Thor's hammer. It's constitutional, folks. Quote, Minnesota has not met its burden to proffer sufficient evidence to rebut the presumption that 18 to 20-year-olds seeking to carry handguns in public for self-defense are protected by the right to keep and bear arms. The carry ban violates the Second Amendment as applied by the Minnesota through the 14th Amendment and is thus unconstitutional, the judge Dwayne Benton wrote in the court's Tuesday opinion. The judgment upheld the prior ruling that the U.S. Supreme Court for the District of Minnesota, which relied on the 2022 Supreme Court majority opinion of New York State Rifle and Pistol Association Incorporated versus Bruin. See, the problem is these guys, they kept pushing. They kept pushing. They put too many laws in place. And once that first domino falls, the rest of them are going to fall because 2nd, 14th, 5th, I mean, all these, I'm sorry, first through 14th, all these amendments literally hold each other up concurrently, perfectly, if you read the amendments. One of them doesn't stand on its own going, wow, this one's more important than this one. No, they are all God-given rights and limitations on the federal government. They're not limitations on you or I. They're what the government may not do. Pedro Fever, I got something for you in the chat room. I'm not going to bring that one out publicly. Yeah. I think that's why she got the 50 mil. Yeah, and I'm not going to make that one public. If you guys want to go in the chat room and see at this timestamp of what I'm talking about, you'll see, but I'm not going to say that one publicly. I'll leave it in the chat room. That's why you got to log into the chat room. This is the stuff that you get in there you don't get out here. Scrolly, this is beyond hilarious to me. So Biden's dropout sparks a stunning media reaction. You won't believe what the liberals said, but I got to tell you what, folks, seeing these guys eating crap literally in public is such entertainment. From Daily Caller, CNN's Van Jones appeared shaken when he compared Biden's dropping out of the race to, quote, when you got to take the keys from your grandpa. Democrat Delaware Senator Chris Coons, a Biden campaign co-chair, also cried on CBS News as he reflected on Biden's, quote, very difficult decision. CNN's Wolf Blitzer appeared stunned in a screen cap from his broadcast, captured shortly after he posted a photo of himself enjoying a drink at the El Presidente restaurant in Washington, D.C. MSNBC's Rachel Maddow kept her voice measured and appeared to fight back tears as she expressed admiration for Biden's quote-unquote sacrifice. Man, I'll tell you what, watching these guys suck a turd in public, it is beyond the best. It's just beyond the best. Like I said earlier about, Obama slamming on Kamala, he's not with her, and they got actually a more modern picture of him, and he's looking rough. I mean, that's just being kind. He's looking rough, and that's being very, very kind. Oh man, I tell you, these I love the way that these guys do this stuff in the media nowadays. They post something up, and when they post the picture up, it's
Oh no, that's not tuna.
No, sound guy, no, it's not tuna. Sound guy, no. They post the picture up and it doesn't look like their current appearance. That's what it looked. It's just beep beep. Yeah, they're just not doing it. I love when they do that too. They post a picture up from them about 10, 15 years ago where they're kind of like, and they're not looking as like throwing, kind of just beaten down as life gives him in 10, 15 years. I just love when people do that. They post an old picture like it's a current picture. They're like, it's not you, dude. It's not you. All right, well, look at it, almost 10 minutes after. Guys got an hour in, good stuff like that there. Appreciate your kind attention. You got many other things to do on a Tuesday. I truly, truly appreciate your kind attentions. Do let me know if you appreciate or if it sounds roughly about the same for the new sound setup. I mean, I just got tired of the old speakers. They haven't been a bit more high gain than these. These actually have way more bass response, but they're also louder and they actually sound better. A little too much bass for me, but I can't adjust it down any further. That's what I got. Anyway, you guys go get yourself a gold star out the drawer because you earned it hanging out with me on a Tuesday. You got many other things to do, but you hung out with me, and I truly appreciate your kind attentions. I will catch you guys later. Eat good, keep the rings. Always, you know you love it. And I will see you next week unless I come up with something sooner. And potentially I might. I don't know. I'll catch you guys later. Have a good one. See you guys. Curtis.